This is Word Module 3 Textbook Project, Creating a Business Letter. I have already gone into Blackboard, and I have clicked on Assignments and went to the Word folder, and I'm ready to launch the Word Module 3 SAM Textbook Project. I'm going to minimize the screen on the side. And what is interesting to note here is that this is actually a textbook project that you can do on a Mac because it does not say there's a problem with it. Now, as usual, we have to choose the file name. So I have to I'll click on back first. You go to reading to find the steps in the textbook. Your start file has the wrong name and you have a support file. So as usual, I go to continue and I highlight my name. I don't get the .docx. I use a Control-C combination to copy. Then I scroll down and get to the back button, and I will click on the start file name, and I will navigate to where I want to place this file. And I'm looking for a flash drive and my CIT 105 folder. I'll go into Word. This is Word 3, and I need to click on the file name and change it. So I will just do a Control-V as in Victor to paste in the new name, which should start with SC_WD_3, and I will save that file. Before I open it up, I need to go ahead and get my support file. So I'll click on the flaming eagle, and it should be defaulted to the correct location. No name change. Click on Save. Then we can actually click on the document and open it up. It will be a blank document. Let me bring it in from the side. So I get it to go there. Now, it does have you change your view to page width. We do need to show the ruler, so if that's unchecked, we want to check it and make sure it's there. We also want to go to Home tab on the ribbon, and we want to make sure that our Show Height button is showing the embedded symbols. So that gets you started with getting things ready to go. It is very important for you to read the chapter because it covers things as what is a letterhead, what goes into a letterhead, placement of the elements in the letterhead. It also talks about what is a business letter, what are the different styles of business letters. Those are good test questions. Now, the first thing they have us do after we've gotten things set up is to draw a shape. It's kind of unusual for this project because they have you create your own letterhead. And we know that most businesses will go to a publisher, a printing company, and they'll pick out how they want it to be set up and designed, and then they'll have them mass produce their letterhead on the paper they've selected, and also envelopes and any other things like notepads and stuff where they want the letterhead to also be a part of those printed materials. But in our case, we are going to create the letterhead kind of like a logo across the top and put in the required information for the letterhead itself. So, first things first, you want to be able to insert a shape. So go to the Insert tab on the ribbon, point at Shapes, and rectangle may be in your recently used shapes, but you will also find it, the very first one, in the rectangles group. So just click on it. Now you're going to have a little crosshair where you're going to use to draw it. And they tell you to look in the book, and so I'm kind of guesstimating where I needed to draw this. I'm going to take it all the way over about that far. And I won't know how close I am to being the size it wants it to be just yet. I'm pretty sure by looking at the size group, I didn't quite get it right. Okay? I'm close to the width, but not the height. Now the height that they want you to set this to would be 1/2 inch tall. So you can go to the size group, and here's the height. Using the arrow buttons, you can change that to 1/2 inch wide, tall, And depending upon how wide you made the rectangle, you may have to use up or down elevator buttons, is what I call them, because that's what they look like. They're not elevator buttons, by the way. But just click on that till you get to 5 inches. So now we have that where we want it in terms of size, but we also need to center it. And we'll have to go to Arrange in the Drawing Tools format. Sorry, that keeps popping down when I point at something. Position in the Arrange group, and you can choose Position in Top Center with square text wrapping. So this way you know it's centered. We want to talk a little bit about floating and inline objects. An object that's a part of the paragraph, and you kind of see this anchor over here attaching this object to the paragraph, is called an inline object. By default it tends to be that, and then we have to change it if we want it to float where we want to place it. And so a floating object is, by contrast, an object that's independent of the text and able to be moved anywhere on the page. So we have to set up the characteristics or the changes to this object so that it can float. We could also make sure that we don't have text printing on either side. If we had it embedded inside of text, it would not have text on either side of it, which is good because we're going to put a picture on either side of it. And the next thing then, after we've centered it then, is to change the text wrapping. Now, you will notice at the end of your object there is a little button, and it says Layout Options, so click on it. Now, the first one that's selected is Square. Next to that is Tight. Next to that is Through. On the bottom one we have Top and Bottom, and that means we don't want any text on either side of it, and that's the one we're going to choose. But let's highlight some of the other two. Behind the text, so the text appears on top of it, or in front of the text, so it kind of overlaps and covers the text. And there is some reasons for doing that. We're going to choose Top and Bottom. Notice as soon as we did that, the anchor and the paragraph symbol moved below the object, so now it's a floating object, and we could actually drag it where we want to put it. Let's close out the Layout Options button. Now we want to apply a shape style. And if you take a look at shape styles, you'll see 3 of them are showing here. And you just kind of hover over these, you can see what they look like. But we have other shapes that we want to pull from. So the More button opens up the gallery. And you can kind of hover over these to see what it looks like in the background. Okay, but we're going to choose in the 5th row down, starting from up here, 5th row down, 3rd one from the left, Moderate Effect Orange, Accent 2. You want to make sure that that's what matches the description in the instructions, in this case in your textbook. Now, we want to change and add a shape outline to it, so we have shape outline in the shape styles group. And we're going to choose this, I would call it goldenrod, but it's called Gold Accent 4. It's on the first row of theme colors. Now you may not notice that you have a border because you have these handles around it, so you don't have to click off of it, but I will. And I still can't see that border, but if I zoom all the way up to 500%, you can now see a little bit of the gold color. It's about a pixel wide around that object. It's really hard to see it, but it's there. I'll take my zoom control back down. And let's see, I still need it to be a little smaller. Okay, I want to make sure we can see the edges and we can see our ruler. Okay, I'm going to go back and select that. I need to click on my Drawing Tools Format tab to get back to the Drawing Tools. Now, we've done that by adding a border. We now want to change the shape outline. Or wait a minute, did we do that already? Yeah, we already put the gold on there. Sorry, turn the page. We're going to apply a shape effect. Now, the shape effect that we want is a glow. So directly under shape outline is the shape effects button. We're going to point at glow, and they call this gold, I call it yellow, but it's the first one in the glow variations that's yellow looking. It says glow 5 point, gold accent color 4. And you can definitely see the glow effect without unselecting your rectangle. Now we're going to add text. Excuse me, I apologize. I think I'm yawning. Time for a nap. No, we've got work to do, so here we go. We want to add text to this rectangle. Right click on the rectangle object, and there's an add text option from the pop-up menu. So you click there, and now you have the insertion point, and you're going to type in Sunset State College. Now, they want us to change the font size, and our little mini toolbar popped up in place, and this is really handy because I'm not on the Home tab. So I'm hoping a lot of the things I have to make changes to are right here in my mini toolbar. And one of them is, I know you want to click on this pull down list arrow for the font size and choose 24. But they want to demonstrate to you the increased font size. So you're going to have to click that as many times until it says 24 in the font size box. And they also want you to boldface this. Now, there is also a decreased font size. It decreases by 2 points each time. I'm going to click away from that for just a second. Let's talk about this for just a moment. The increased font size, decreased font size. Let's say you're using a specific font size for headings, and you'd like to make a subheading just a little smaller than that. You could, before you type the text, click decrease font size, or type the text and then highlight it like we did and do a decrease font size by 2 points or maybe by 4 points. Or if you have something that's small and you'd like the next item to be a little bigger, then you could use the increased font size like we did. So it is a useful tool. You may not see it used all the time, but it is a useful tool. Okay, now we're going to insert a picture. Now I want to point out to you that your textbook says insert an online picture. Well, we downloaded the picture from Sam, so we don't have to get that, or from Cengage. But I want to walk through the process of it. So it would be an insert, and we will eventually go to pictures here, but insert online pictures, and then you would type in the word eagle, and you would hit the enter key, and it would bring up all these eagles. It should be bringing up a whole lot more than just these. Well, that's unusual. You usually get a whole lot more, and you just sit there and you scroll and you scroll and you scroll till you can't find them. I'm going to figure out how come I'm not seeing all my pictures. But at any rate, it's going to take too long to find it, and we've got it already. So we're going to close that out. Instead, we'll choose Insert Pictures, and we'll navigate to where our flash drive is, and the folder that we have the picture saved in, which is Word, CIT 105, Word 3 is the way I have it listed here. And there's the flaming eagle. And when you insert it, it comes in really big. So I like to get a hold of the lower right hand sizing corner, and I just keep trying to dragging that till I think I get close to the right size. Now, if you will take a look while you still have this selected, you do have the picture tools format, and it has also the size here. Now, the size for the height still needs to be 1/2 inch. So you could just go up if you need to, or go down till you get to 0.5. And this particular image is a scalable image. It will automatically adjust the width to the right setting, which is 0.65. Now, to show you what the book did in terms of how they manipulated this, they left it as that huge picture coming in, all right? And then what they did after they left it as a big picture is they went to the size dialog launch button, and they went down here to the scaling, and you can see 2% here now because I'm down to that. But they would have had you typed in for a height 10 here and 10 in the width. And the reason why it would scale appropriately is because the lock aspect ratio is checked and relative to the original picture size. The original picture size was 25.61 inches tall by 33.27 inches wide. Now, it wasn't like that really on this piece of paper, but that was the original picture size. So they would have had you change that to 10 in there and then say, okay. We just did it by manipulating the height and width settings here. Now, changing the color of the picture. We want to put a background color to it. So we're going to go to the color, just make sure the picture is still selected. Color option in the adjust group. And we're going to choose the only yellow background that you see there, which is in the recolor section. And they're going to call this gold again. Gold accent color for dark. So we want that one. And then we also want to do, I believe, a correction with some contrast as well as the brightness. So click on corrections, which is just above color. Now we're going to go into the brightness contrast section, and I believe it is in that section, it is the second row, the fourth one from the left. Brightness plus 20%, contrast minus 20%. So we're going to select that, and it's applied that to our flaming eagle that doesn't really look like it's flaming right now without the orange. And then we want to be able to put a border on. So we're going to go over here to picture border in the picture styles group. And they want you to use that same color of gold accent 4. And I'm just going to click away from my picture so you can see it does have that gold accent 4 border. And I'll come back and I'll reselect, make sure I have my picture tools format selected. Now, we want to change its wrapping because when it comes in here, it's going to be an inline image and we need it to be floating. So we're going to go to the layout options button for this one, and we want it to actually be in front of text. We can position this object on top of any item in the document, in this case on top of the rectangular shape. And really what we're trying to do, go ahead and select that and you can close it, is we're going to bump this up so that border matches or meets up with the edge of Sunset State College orange part of the rectangle. So we're going to be covering the little bit of glow here. So we're going to point at this and just drag it up. There's a little style guide showing for us, but we're going to scoot over. And it's going to be a little hard to, get your mouse to stop. You just want to make sure that you're over it close enough that you can't see the line behind it. Now, mine's down just a little bit. And the problem that we have is that we made the picture a 1/2 inch tall, which is going to match the orange rectangle. But we put that border around it, and that kind of makes it a little bit taller than it needs to be. So you may have to play around just a little bit to nudge it a little bit to get it about where you can. And that's going to be as close as I can get it. The next thing we want to do is make a copy of that image, and then we want to move that over to the other end and attach it, if you will, to the rectangle. So several ways you could do this. You could choose the picture, it's already there. You can do a Control-C and then do a Control-V to paste. I'll take that one off. You can select the picture, you can go home, you can choose the copy button here, and then immediately click on the paste button, and you get it. You can right click on the picture and choose copy, and then right click again. It doesn't have to be right there on top of it, but you would choose the first paste button, keep source formatting, and there it is. Any way you want to do it. Then drag that second image over and connect it to with the overlap just a bit. And I'm a little high, so I'm going to bring it back down just a little. And that's about as good as I'm going to get it. And I'm hoping that Sam that grades our stuff is going to like it. Alright, so we've moved that, we've copied the image, but we also need to flip it. We want the arrow on the right to point toward Sunset State College. So, just select it. Let it be the ones you got selected. You want to make sure Picture Tools format is turned on, and you want to go over here in the Arrange group to rotate. When you click on rotate, just hover over each one of these as you go down, and you want to choose flip horizontal. I just thought you should see what they all look like. Now I'm going to click away from that so I can see what it looks like. And go ahead and click on your Save button to save what you've done so far. Remember, that's on your Quick Access toolbar. Now, we're ready to add the text that's a part of the letterhead, the street address, the phone number, the email address. And we are already set up for that first paragraph line that's underneath the pretty letterhead image. So let's do one other thing, and that is we need to center it. So we're going to click on the center button to center it first, and we're going to type in the address. Always remember to spell out the word street or drive, anything like that. And then it looks like they have a building, MC, in all caps. Don't forget the comma separators. Novato, Novato, comma space. You may use the two-letter capitalization of the state. And then the zip code is 94945. And we're going to hit the space bar, and we need to put in a separator image or symbol to separate the pieces of the letterhead elements. And they tend to use a mid dot for that, so that means we have to go looking for an insert symbols at the very end. Now, I'm looking here and I don't see my mid dot. So I'm going to have to go to more symbols. And I am not sure why I am in Wingdings. But at any rate, I happen to know the character code. This looks like it. And it says it's from Wingdings. So I want to actually go up to normal text. And then the subset I want to choose will be, let me find it here. Well, general punctuation. So sometimes you have to change the font that you're looking for in terms of the searchable index, if you will. Yep, and there it is, the one I want right there. Under general punctuation, see how far the scroll box is? You could grab the scroll box from the top and take it to about this level and hopefully find mid dot. The other thing you will know, they call it a bullet, but its number is 2022. So we could just type that number in there and it would have brought it up. So we're going to click on Insert, and we'll close this out, and notice we have that big dot there. You want a space after it too. You want to keep it balanced. The phone number that they have to enter is 415-555-0199 space, and guess what? You need the symbol again. This time, however, when you go to symbol, it's going to be there in the upper left-hand corner of something you've used before. Then we'll hit the space bar and we'll type in the email address, and we're kind of running out of room on this line, but fortunately for us, their email address is really short. sunset.edu. Helps if I type edu. Excuse me. Okay. we want to add a border to separate this header from the body of any business letter we type. So you go to the Home tab on the ribbon, and you're looking in the paragraph group. Just to the right of the shading, the little spilling paint can, is something that looks like a 4-pane window with a little window sill on it. That's the borders button. If you click on the pull down list, you want the first one, bottom border. Well, doesn't that look nice? So now I'm going to hit the enter key, and then, oh my goodness, what happened? Well, when we press the enter button, it moved that border forward to the next paragraph, because that paragraph retains the current settings, like the center and all that. You see it's the center. So we need to clear the formatting, so the border needs to go back up underneath the letterhead information, and then we have a clearance then for the body of the letter so we can type. The clear all formatting is this little A with an eraser erasing it. Clear all formatting, click it once. Now the border is where it's supposed to be, and our insertion point with a new paragraph is where it's supposed to be. Now, I forgot to do something, and I'm looking at it now. We were supposed to have made sure that we had gotten rid of all the spacing. Let me check here. Yep. See all that extra spacing? And I didn't do it. But we can do it now. So if we just select, oops, I don't want to get in the header. Okay, escape out of the header. If we select all of our text, and we go to the paragraph button that shows line and spacing paragraph, and remove the space after paragraph, we'll be good to go. Almost. Shortened that one pretty well. This one's still not. So I'm going to go back to paragraph, and it still has a space after paragraph, so I'm going to remove it. And now it's short. I'm going to check this one, and we're good there. The way they have you do it, and the way we should have done it at the beginning, was to go to layout on the ribbon, and in the paragraph group there would have been 8 points here, and we would just put the arrow key down until we got to 0 points. So we had to fix this. Yeah, we're good there. We're still 24. Now, sorry about that, but at least we caught it before I went any further. Alright, save your letterhead, and this is something you might save under a different name, like you might call it Sunset State College letterhead. And then it would be the template that you bring up every time you need to type a new letter. And your book walks you through doing that, giving it a different name. SAM does not require us to do that, nor will we upload that particular file to SAM for grading, just the one that we have named that we're working with right now. But I can certainly show you what that would look like if you decided to save it with a different name, so it would be something you use over and over again. First of all, I would do a file save as. You don't have to do this step. I just want to show you what you could do. And then I would just rename this file down at the bottom, Sunset State College letterhead, and I could save it. Now the name of my open document in Word is that. So I need to close this document, so File, Close, I don't need that one open, and then File and Open shows what I just worked on a while ago, so I can just go get it from here. So I'll just go get it, and now I'm back to the one I'm supposed to be working on. Okay? Now, they talk about what you need to do for creating a business letter, the spacing, what are the essential elements for the business letter. Obviously, you need to have a date line, inside address, a salutation, the message, complimentary close, and a signature block. And then they talk about styles of letter, block style, modified semi-block, and so forth. It doesn't hurt for you to kind of recognize those types and styles of business letters. Okay, so we're going to use something that's probably going to be the modified semi-block. Yeah, 1/2 inch to center. Now, we've already turned on our ruler, so we're good to go there. And our tab stops can be changed with this little button to the very far left of the horizontal ruler. This is a left tab. This is a right align. Excuse me, this is a center tab. Sorry, it's an upside down T. This is a right align tab, and of course the screen tips tell you. This is a decimal tab because it has a decimal point, so it aligns to the decimal. This is a vertical bar, but they like to just call it a bar tab. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about people who owe money for the drinks that they had at the bar. Okay. And then we have the, oh my gosh, what do we have here? The first line indent. And we click it again, we have the hanging indent. Then we go back to the left tab. So make sure left tab is the one you have. And over here, and you want to make sure you're on this paragraph symbol, the blank one, not Office of Admissions or anything like that. Make sure you're on your blank paragraph. And we want to place a paragraph, not a paragraph, but a tab stop right there at the midway point between 3 and 4 inches. You can see that that little mark is tick mark is a little taller than the ones around it. And that way we have a tab. Now, if you accidentally put one somewhere else, I'm going to accidentally do this. Be kind of at the bottom. Oh no, I hit the tab key twice, and Sam will probably count me wrong for having the tab in the first place. All I have to do is point at that tab, hold the mouse button down, and just drag it off. You're just throwing it away off to just all the way off the ruler. And you can get rid of it that way. Okay. Now, what else do we need to do after we've done our tab stop? I'm assuming we need to hit the enter key somewhere in here twice, or at least once more. Okay, one other thing that I forgot to do was at this point to go up here to the styles and choose no spacing. For the body of our document, we want to make sure that our spacing is strictly single spacing. So we'll hit the enter key because we want to have a break between I'm sorry, when I chose no spacing, I lost my left tab. So I got to put it back in there. So my apologies, I got the cart before the horse again. So you had to first do the no spacing, and then you'll have to put your tab right back in there. And then we're ready to tab over and get today's date. The textbook uses April 19th, 2021, but they tell us to use the date and time. So in the insert group, you will see in the text group a date and time option. It's going to have a little clock and a calendar as its icon. And we want to do spell out September 20, and then 29th, 2020. Don't check update automatically. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Now, it's put today's date in here. The book has it as April 19th, 2021, but they told us to use this method of getting the date, and they don't tell us to change it once we have gotten it. Now, the update automatically button that you had. A lot of letters that you write, you want to keep the original date that you wrote it. So you don't want that checked. When you are creating a whole bunch of new letters for different customers, and it may take you 3 or 4 days to get them all typed or all mail merged or whatever it is that you're doing, then you might need to tell it to update automatically so that the first batch that you get done has September 29th, but when you work on it tomorrow, it'll automatically put September 30th in there, and the day after that will be September 1st. But if it's something where you have to maintain the original date, in other words, a customer said, I didn't receive that letter, when did you send it, when did you write it, that kind of thing, you want to be able to go back to this letter that you saved and look at the date that you actually composed it, and hopefully either send it that day or the next day. So there's times when you would want to use the update automatically, and there are times when you don't. Now, after we've typed in the date, we want to hit the enter key 3 times. 2 returns, 3 blank lines is how I learned it in college, or well, actually in high school, learning to type. We're going to type in the inside address, Mr. Caleb Thomas, and it's 982 Bartlett Street. Enter. Live Oak, comma space, California abbreviated, and then the zip code is 95953, and enter twice. Dear Caleb, oops, let me spell his name right, comma, enter twice. Okay, about business letters. Sometimes a business letter can be a friendly business letter. Usually a friendly business letter is one that you write because you know the person already, and so you'll address the person by their first name, and you'll use a comma, which is a little bit less formal. When you have never met the person and you're writing something professional, and I just think about this, if you're writing a letter for an application for a job, and also going to, electronically is fine, and going to also send your electronic resume, you need to be formal. Dear Mr. Thomas, colon. But this is a letter that's welcoming Caleb to the campus, and whether or not the person who's writing the letter has met Caleb personally yet, it's more warming and welcoming to address him by his first name and using the comma. So there are some rules that have to do with the type of business letter, whether it's formal, informal, / friendly business letter. Now, we're finally going to type one of the first paragraphs. Congratulations. Notice 2021. Let's hope COVID is long past us after that. Now, after that paragraph, you're going to hit the enter key twice. Start the next paragraph. And there's a colon after a date, so make sure you're not doing a semicolon. Make sure you do the shift to get the colon. And we're going to hit the enter key twice. And our insertion point now is located where we want to insert a table. And this table is going to go into our actual body of the letter. Now, if you knew exactly how many rows and columns you needed, you could just select them. But since they're going on the premise we don't know how many we need, we know we're going to have 3 columns, but we're not sure how many rows yet. So when you go up to Insert on the ribbon, there's a Tables group that only has one button, Table, and you want to do a 3 by 1. So when you click on 3 by 1, it's going to draw that inside the location where you placed it. Now, the little marker inside each of the boxes is the end of field marker, and the one at the end is the end of row. So those kind of look funny, but they're there for a purpose. The first thing to type inside of this is, let me turn the page here, date, and then tab. You're gonna move by tabbing. Then event, and then tab over, and you're gonna have notes. Now, in order to get another row added, there's several ways to do it, but another way to get it to do it is just hit the tab key. And then under dates, you're going to type these wonderful dates, and this is where some of us make mistakes, myself included, because it's just harder for us to type dates. July space 12-16 and July space 19-23, and then we're going to tab over, and it is orientation and registration. Tab over, see brief schedule on next page. And then you hit the tab key to go to the next row. August 16-17, tab over, and this is move-in days, and move-in is hyphenated. Tab over, assigned by housing services, capitalized first letter of housing and services. Tab, August 23rd, fall term begins. Tab over, first day of classes. Now, you don't want to tab over. You've got this information entered in, and for right now, we're going to dress up this table. So, we're going to apply table style to it. In order to do that, we're going to go to, oops, let me get that out of the way. Table tools, we have 2 tabs. We have design and we have layout. You want to be in design to get a table style. Okay, so over here in the table style options, they want us to remove the check mark from first column. We don't want the first column in the table formatted differently from the rest. So we just remove that from first column. We do have a header row, and we do want to use banded alternating colors. And then let's see, which one do they want us to select? From the More button. Okay, we're going to click on the More button. I got to look in the book to see which one we're supposed to use. Grid, Table 1, Light, Accent 2. Okay, first row of grid tables, third one from the left. This orangey colored one. Grid Table 1, Light, Accent 2. Now, we want to select a single column, so that we can make some changes to that single column. In this case, we're going to italicize the contents of that column. All right, this is easy to do. My headset keeps moving on me. You hear a little noise in the background, that's just that. You want to point with the little downward pointing arrow and click, and it's going to select that. And then they want you to use a keystroke combination of Control and then tap the I key to make it italics. That's quicker sometimes than going all the way over to Home and then clicking on Italic from the font group and then coming back to Table Tools Design. So we just use that in order to do our formatting. Now, this particular one doesn't have banded rows because of the style that we chose. If you click on the pull down list arrow, you will see some that do have banded rows. Now I'm going to escape out of that because I need to keep it what it is. Alright, now I need to add another row. Apparently they had some information that they forgot to insert, so we want to insert another row into our table. Okay. If you go, one of the ways to do this, and an easy way to do this, is if you point at the bottom in the lower left-hand corner of your table, you get a little plus button with a really long, skinny bar. If you'll click on that, it'll give you a new row very quickly. So what are we supposed to type into this one? Well, let's see. Did I put it in the right place? So it says here that I was supposed to insert it between the rows, and I put it at the bottom. So what we need to do is to move it. First of all, I've got to select it. And then I'm going to put it above. See how I just dragged that and I had a little insertion point? So, this is a good mistake to show you how to fix it. The other thing you could have done was just delete the row and do it again. So I'll go ahead and show you that. And then I was supposed to have that little mark between August 16th and 17th and August 23rd. And there, that's the way they did it in the book. Okay? So we're going to type in August 16th through the 20th. Tab over, and this is going to be Welcome Week. And then it's going to be Get Schedule during orientation. Now, all right. Now, you see the paragraph symbol that we have here right after the table? We want to click there and then press enter. So we have a blank line between it and the next piece of text we're going to add to the body. Before orientation, comma, you must do the following through our campus website, colon, and then hang on. Colon, and they want you to hit the enter key. Now we're going to add a bulleted list. And it's kind of interesting the way they're going to go about it this time. We want to press the asterisk key, and then we hit the space bar and it's going to convert it into a bullet. Interesting, isn't it? Little shortcuts we sometimes don't know about. I knew about that one. Okay, so now the bullet is complete a housing contract or housing exemption form, no period. Enter, you're going to get another bullet. Schedule your math placement exam. Enter. Reserve your orientation dates. And then press enter, and then enter again turns off the bulleted list. Now, we'll finish up this letter, and then we'll cut it off after the letter, and we'll create a second part for the second page. So the more text we have to add in afterwards is we definitely need to make sure we have a blank line there after the bullets. And we want to type in, I am confident you will pursue your passions and accomplish your goals as a Sunset State Flying Eagle. Press enter twice, tab, type in sincerely, the closing, complimentary close, comma, hit enter 4 times. 4 returns 3 blank lines, tab over, Lucy R. period, song, enter, tab again, Director of Admissions. Now, this is where I'm going to stop with this part of the presentation and the video so that we can concentrate on the second page, which has SmartArt graphics and WordArt. And right now we'll save this, but we're not finished with it yet. We'll come back to part 2